25 minutes past 6. Welcome back to Wide World of Sports. It is Hawthorn Membership Day here at 3AW, and it comes at a good time because the man co-hosting the show with me is an 8 times best and fairest winner at the Hawks. He just happens to be part of not only the Hawthorn team of the century, but also the AFL team of the century. Mitch Lewis isn't any of those things yet, but he's only 50 games in to his AFL career, and the Hawks, after he kicked 37 goals from 15 games last year, Lee, they have high hopes for him, and the man joins us live. Mitch, welcome to Wide World of Sports.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Hopefully by the end of my career I can have something anywhere near that. That'd be nice.
You had a scan yesterday, Mitch. Tell us, hopefully there's some positive results for Hawthorn fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was always the plan, to get a 6-week scan just to have a look at the progress. And, very thankful that the doctor says it's looking very nicely and on track.
There's a lot of youth in the side, Mitch. Good to talk to you. But in a sort of practical thing, in your part of the ground, the forward half, Luke Bruce and Chad Wingate are both very experienced, 200 sort of plus. But does it help just to have the couple of veterans in and around what is still a fairly young group? Yeah,
absolutely. Those guys have got a ton of experience, and particularly Luke Bruce. Obviously, he's in the leadership group as well, so his knowledge of not only our game plan but the AFL landscape in general is massive for the younger guys. When you think of blokes coming through like Sam Butler, he's been absolutely huge for Dylan Moore as well. So, he just helps those guys immensely.
And the one other question about you specifically, I've been looking at sort of what the different clubs are doing with their ruck stock. So some are playing a key position player as a second ruckman. Do you, when you're in normal training, get into the ruck practice to be ready to do that if called upon?
I have in the past. Under Mitch, I haven't so much. Just been playing more as that key position player. But I'm not sure what we're going to look like round one. But we've got Ned Reeves and Lloyd Meek, who's been playing forward a little bit as well. So maybe he might play that sort of role.
Such a fascinating time, Lee, for your old club, because Mitch was drafted in, of course, the year that Jordan Lewis and Sam Mitchell and there are a few others were going out of the club, and it sort of felt like a changing of the guard. And I know that there was some jokes around the time, of course, before you played, Mitch, given the names. But we haven't had a great deal of insight, or haven't been able to, as to what this new generation of Hawthorn sort of feels like from the inside. Mitch, can you give us, and I guess the Hawthorn fans, a little bit of an indication as to what kind of culture Sam Mitchell is trying to build there?
Yeah. No, I'm never going to live that down, am I, Sam? The whole meme under my whole draft.
It's a tough one, yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, there's nothing but good energy and good vibes around our group. Obviously, we're very young and we want to use that to our advantage. So if we can bring the energy each game, we feel like we'll use that as an advantage. But in terms of game plan, it's no secret about where we want to go. We want to be a tough and attacking side, and everything we do in at the footy club and away from the footy club is just trying to get to that sort of side.
So does tough and attacking mean risk-taking, Mitch? Like the Hawks that we saw winning back-to-back-to-back flags under Clarko were unbelievable kicking sides, and they were clinical. Does tough and attacking mean taking the game on and taking risks that, you might lose it the other way, but ultimately you're going to try to outscore?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of teams are using that game style now. We saw Collingwood last year do it really well. We saw Richmond a couple of years ago with that handball sort of game style. So I guess what every club's trying to do is find a mix of both and, take the good and leave out the bad so we can get the best possible game plan.
And your particular sort of the athletic evolution, I guess, Mitch, I mean, you've been a marking player and kick goals for marks and trying to get a bit more of the ball by being a little bit more sort of agile or athletic. Is that the in the terms of the conditioning thing that you're trying to work on?
Yeah, a little bit. So the last couple of years has just been trying to put on size, and probably to the detriment of that, you lose your ability to move around the ground and, get up and back. So finding a good mixture of that will be key. But, I've always wanted to be a more consistent player to be able to have impact throughout the whole game, not just for a quarter or a half. So that'll be something that I've worked on over the summer, and I don't think I'll ever stop working on that.
It's interesting, Mitch. I'm not sure if you heard the start of the show. So Leigh and I were talking about how the game in the last, say, the turn of the century, since 2000, has become so much more physical, and players are so much bigger and faster that we're seeing more collisions. But at the same time, the game is trying to safeguard itself from things like concussion. You're fairly new into the game. I think this is your 6th season at AFL level, and you just talked about having to be a bit bigger and putting on size. Is that something that you have to be cognizant of because of how much stronger your opponents are? Like, you couldn't afford to be too much lighter given the position that you play. Is that fair?
Yeah, that point that you made at the end there is key. The position that I play, I'm, trying to wrestle the Jacob Wiedering types and Stephen May. So I definitely have to be north of 100 kilos to be able to wrestle with them. But as I said before, you've got to find a good mix, because the demands of AFL footy now is you can't just sit in the goal square or sit inside 50. It's team defence, and you've got to work your way up the ground to support your mids and defenders. So, yeah, all about finding a balance.
Mitch, great to have you on. It sounds like you had a good result today at the scan, and you could be available for round 4 or 5 as a best case scenario. And the good news is that in 2023, you can become a member today at Hawthorn and receive a free upgrade if you visit hawks.com.team/3AW. Mitch, I'm sure you're not a good watcher of football. So many injured players aren't, but we're looking forward to seeing you back in the brown and gold. Good luck for the year ahead.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Mitch.
Mitch Lewis there, the Hawthorn star forward that they absolutely need. 37 goals from 15 games last year.